Thank you for tuning into From the Cowboy State podcast. I'm your host, Michaela Getz. This is episode 3, part 1. The first time we are actually doing multiple parts on an episode. So tune back in a couple weeks after this for part 2. But this is part 1, and we have with us today Hailey Sorg. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her and let her introduce herself, give a little bit of background info on herself, and just all that good information.
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast, Michaela. I know that we are both talkers. I love getting able to talk with you. So I'm excited that this is going to be a multi-part podcast. But yeah, so my name is Hailey Sorg. I am from Douglas, Wyoming, the home of the jackalopes. And I have always loved being able to get outside, be creative, find new places, and most of all, I love Wyoming. I attended the University of Wyoming and got my degree in outdoor recreation and tourism management. I then went on to get my master's degree online while working for Wyoming State Parks, and then was able to see this new position that came up with UW Extension. And I've been here for a little over a year and a half now. And I think that I have probably the longest job title of anybody in Extension. So I am the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation, Tourism, and Hospitality Worth Initiative Extension Educator. And in this year and a half, I think I've finally been able to say that clearly. Don't ask me to say it 5 times fast. But yeah, like I said, I've been here for a little over a year and a half now and have really enjoyed being able to serve Wyoming in this capacity through UW Extension in this new program area.
That is really awesome. So you mentioned that you are the Worth Initiative educator, extension educator. I'm sorry. Now I'm not going to repeat the acronym because I definitely cannot say that 5
That's
times
all
fast.
right.
But can you tell us a little bit about how that position came about? I think
Yeah.
most of the time people think, extension agents or extension educators, we think 4-H, ag and natural resources, what have you. And yours really encompasses a little bit of all of that because you get to work with all of us. So how'd
Yeah.
that come about?
Yeah, no, this is a really unique role for Wyoming, for the University of Wyoming, and
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun to be able to build this out and see where this takes us and this new avenue for extension to kind of explore and support our Wyoming communities and economies across the entire state. So this position was created in partnership with the Worth Initiative, which is an initiative based on campus in Laramie, and in that partnership with UW Extension and the College of Agriculture. So
Okay.
the Worth Initiative, it was added as one of 2 new strategic initiatives by UW President Seidel in 2021. So that initiative then received funding from Governor Gordon's Wyoming Innovation Partnership Phase 1 funding, or WIP initiative, in 2022. And that's when the Worth Initiative kicked off. And they were able to create these partnerships within different departments within the university, one of them being UW Extension, to be able to support my role. So I am funded through the Worth Initiative, but housed under UW Extension, which gives me the really unique opportunity to not have to be based in Laramie, and really be out in the communities helping, whether it's in outdoor recreation, tourism, hospitality, however communities, organizations, or individuals want to maximize those experiences. So we're able to offer those services through UW Extension. It has been, a very fun, very unique first year. And I feel very blessed to be able to work with such a great team on campus in Laramie with the Worth Initiative, as well as, the great team and educators and staff and administration with UW Extension as well. I don't think I mentioned it, but I am based in the Natrona County Casper office, but
Mm.
I am statewide, so I travel a lot. I also still live in Douglas, so getting that travel in every day. Yeah, like you said, I get to work with a lot of the great programs and areas that we have within Extension, whether that's working with our community vitality and health team, working with our ag and natural resources team, 4-H, sensible nutrition, really around the state.
That's really neat. So just to back up a little bit, because you touched on a little bit about your history in Wyoming, but can you just tell us a little bit more about that? You're not born and raised here? You are born and raised here. Definitely raised.
Yes, yes. So I wasn't born in Wyoming, sad to say, but I was raised here. My parents both went to the University of Wyoming. I went to the University of Wyoming. We've lived in Douglas. I was raised there, so I'm very, very thankful to call Wyoming home, to be able to
Yeah,
raise in this great state and then continue to live and work here as a young adult and really thrive in Wyoming.
that's great. And I bet it gives you a unique perspective and a great appreciation for your job too.
Yes, yes. Like I said before, I love Wyoming. We always have a running joke in my family that we brown and gold. And so yeah, so we absolutely, I absolutely love Wyoming. I love being able to serve these communities. Growing up here has, given me a lot of great opportunities to meet people
Mhm.
and make those connections. I'm sure people listening into the podcast have heard that, Wyoming is a small town with long streets, and
Yes.
I 100% think that that is true. You never know who you're going to meet while you're out and about or what experiences you're going to have. Wyoming's a great community, and so I'm really glad to be able to serve our state.
I will say I was not born and raised here. I just moved here in February from Texas, but Wyoming, and I can't say it's my favorite place to be. My mom and dad listen to this podcast, and they are from Texas. I moved up here from Texas, but it is definitely my second favorite place to be. It's been a really great place to call home the past few months. It's
Yeah.
been really great, and I was lucky enough. I missed the big snow that y'all got this past winter, so I think the most I've seen so far is 6, maybe 8 inches.
Yes.
So
No, you
I
you had a good time.
yeah, I'm preparing myself for that this winter, but
Yeah. No, you came at a good time, and we're so glad to have you on the extension. Uh, yeah, all of the great work that we've been able to do together and all of
yeah.
that. So I'm glad you're loving Wyoming as much as
Yeah. So, Hailey, traditional question of this podcast, what does agriculture mean to you?
I love this question. I think that this is something, and I'm so glad that you ask it of everybody who's coming on the podcast. I think it's so interesting to hear everybody's perspective on this. But to me, agriculture is it's a passion. It's a way of life. It's a community, and it impacts our not only entire state, but our entire country, our entire world. I, like I said, grew up in Wyoming and am very blessed to have had several agricultural experiences throughout my lifetime and throughout the relationships that I've been able to build through this position, working with guest ranches within the agritourism area, working with, just people generally in the agricultural industry through UW Extension. And I've just been, like I said, very blessed to have all of these experiences here in Wyoming. I have seen firsthand how important agriculture is to our state and how we preserve our Wyoming culture. So it really is, it's a community, it's a passion. Yeah.
I love that answer, and truly, I couldn't agree with you more. It is a community, it is a passion, it's people helping people, neighbors helping their neighbors. And, I associate agriculture just in general so much with my family. And I believe it was Rob and Micah both who talked about agriculture and family operations and family just in general and having that meaning associated with it. And, you've touched on it too, and just your love for Wyoming. And so that's part of why I asked this question as well, is just getting to hear everybody's different perspectives, because to some people, agriculture is just a science, it is a job, but you do have this whole other side where people are born and raised. Some people just walk into it someday. For some people, it's just a job. For some people, it's a love of something. So it's just been really interesting to hear different people's perspectives. So thank you for sharing that. I truly appreciate that.
So let's dig into agritourism and shift a little bit here on subjects. Um, you cover such a wide umbrella, and not just agritourism, but that is a big piece of it. So it takes the two fields of agriculture and tourism, obviously mends them together. But we're getting into this I don't want to say weird time, but this interesting time of getting into the nitty-gritty where everyone's kind of trying to define and put terms on or underneath this field. So USDA has these five main categories of agritourism, which I'm sure you're obviously familiar with: direct sales, education, hospitality, outdoor rec, and entertainment. Some of these are even under your title of the Worth Initiative educator. So can you just kind of run through slash give us some examples of those terms?
Yeah, 100%. So, like you said, although agritourism is not my main focus, it is something that I do focus on within my position. Like I said before, I've been able to work with a lot of producers around the state, whether that's working in hospitality, customer service, how they're interacting with people, or any of these five categories that we talked about within agritourism and how they can do that and diversify their operation or, start up a new agritourism operation here in Wyoming. So yeah, I love that we have these five main categories. And I will say that agritourism is something that has been very hard to define, that people have been trying to define it for so long. And, everybody's got a little bit of a different definition and a
Yeah.
little bit of these different categories, subcategories. I mean, we could be here on and on, but I think that these five main ones really encompass what agritourism is. And so to jump in, you said the first one is direct sales. And so this is the one that I think we see a lot of. And that is, when the consumer or the visitors are buying directly from producers. So whether that is those farm stands, the U-Pick operations where people are able to come in, pick the produce themselves, buy it directly from the farmer, whether that's going to, get a meat processing plant, interacting with producers in that way, the farmers markets, the fiber sales, the craft sales. So that is something that I find really unique about the direct sales within agritourism, is that it encompasses not just the produce, which a lot of people think of. They think of those farm stands and the U-Pick operations, but also, whether that's the buying the wool from the producers to be able to put into clothing or your crafts and buying from those as well. So I think that that direct sales is something that we see a lot of within agritourism, not just in Wyoming, but across the entire country. Yeah. And then jumping in to the next point, which is education. And I think that this has to be probably one of the most important parts of agritourism. And so it's a main point of why we have agritourism, is because people want to know about agriculture. They want to know about where their food comes from, where these products are coming from, who are the people who are, producing these. And so that education is all of those learning experiences that take place on agricultural land, whether that be school tours, classes, workshops, farm tours, even with extension, extension programming done on farms or ranches in partnership with these operations to be able to showcase things. That all falls under agritourism and is such a big part, because as you know, and as I'm sure a lot of people know, that not everybody knows or understands where these products are coming from. And so a large part of agritourism is just educating those visitors and giving them a little snapshot of, this is what an agricultural operation is. This is what this way of life is.
Yeah, these are where your eggs come from. This is
Yes.
where your beef cut came from. Yeah.
Yes, this is where the food on your plate, this is where the, stuff to make your clothing comes from. And so people, that educational piece is so important. And as you see a lot of different agritourism operations, there are all these different unique ways to get into agritourism, but most of them have that educational component a part of them.
Absolutely.
And so then the next one, which is hospitality. And so this is one that we see a lot here in Wyoming. These are those accommodations or extended experiences on agricultural land. So those are the farm stays, the farm to table dinners, those dude ranches, which we have, a ton of amazing dude ranches here in Wyoming, and those, specialty lodging experiences. So I've met a lot of producers who have been able to turn like their old sheep herders wagons into Airbnbs, so people can come stay in a sheep herder's wagon, which is a really amazing, unique experience. So this hospitality piece is a large part of what draws people, especially to Wyoming. They want to have this cowboy Western Wyoming experience. And a lot of that comes in through that hospitality of, how we interact with people, our way of life here out in the West, because it's so different than people in other parts of the country. And so they want to come experience this, and then having those unique lodging and hospitality experiences, whether that's at a dude ranch where they're able to, get their hands dirty with the crew, after spending a night in a great, beautiful lodge, or spending the night in a sheep herder's wagon, which I think there's a couple extension educators who have some of those. Am I correct?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's so funny you bring that example up because McKenna Julian down in Uinta
Ah,
County, her and her husband's ranch, I don't know if it's Julian Sheep Farms, or I don't want to missay, their operation, but they have a few of those wagons. And we did a train the trainer opportunity, or had one of those opportunities where we did a whole FAMACHA and docking training. I couldn't be a part of that, unfortunately, but our sheep task force went down there, and I don't think anybody ended up staying in the wagon, but McKenna offered that up as an opportunity there. So
I love
yep,
that.
she's got a couple one of those.
That's awesome. So it's those unique opportunities. I know it's on my bucket list. So
Yeah.
all the producers listening in that I've talked with you and you have those sheep herders wagons, I will be there sometime. It's on my bucket list to stay in one. So yeah, that hospitality piece is a large part um, of agritourism. And I think that extends, from what I've seen in working in this field and, working with producers, it's not just about the accommodations that you have, but it's about how you're interacting with your guests as well. That customer service and what people are expecting when they're coming here to Wyoming. And so that fourth category that we mentioned is outdoor recreation. And so this is a huge topic, especially around Wyoming. People want these outdoor experiences, and a lot of times they want them on these agricultural lands, especially out here in Wyoming. So whether that's the classes or tours that take place outside, the horseback riding, hiking, the guiding opportunities, whether that's fishing or hunting, wildlife viewing, even having photography opportunities where people can get out into nature on these agricultural lands to go out and see our beautiful landscapes. People are wanting these outdoor recreation opportunities. I know that there are a few producers out there who have been able to build trails on their lands and able to allow groups to come out, whether that be for hiking or mountain biking or getting out there and just really giving people that outdoor recreation opportunity, which is a growing piece as we've seen. Outdoor recreation in Wyoming has continued to grow, especially after COVID-19, when people locked to Wyoming, our public lands, our open spaces, wanting these experiences, wanting to get outside. And so producers have been really able to capitalize on being able to have these offerings, especially things that are related to that agriculture, that Western lifestyle. So I really think of the horseback riding piece of things. Everybody, when they come out to Wyoming for an agritourism experience, most people at least they want to ride a horse. They want to,
Yeah.
come outside and have that cowboy lifestyle feel.
Yeah. No, absolutely. One of the earliest core memories I have is horseback riding with my grandpa. My folks still have horses down in Texas and everything. I didn't grow up riding horses, but my mom was really great. She put me in horseback riding lessons when I was a little kid. Just always loved them. And so my grandpa, he would always take me trail riding, and this was in Illinois. So, and this is comparatively flat land,
Yes.
and we were going through a state park. And if you've got trail riding through a state park in flat Illinois, central Illinois, mind you, this is not Chicago, state park Illinois around Lake Shelbyville, of course people are going to flock here and want to ride horses and mules through the mountains. I mean, who wouldn't want to ride a horse through Yellowstone or Shoshone or the Bighorns or what have you? I mean, it's pretty incredible. And also, you've got a million different waterfalls that you can see, and a lot of grizzly bear or black
Yes.
bear or whatever,
Yes.
to bring your bear spray and what have you, other options. But yeah, absolutely. It's amazing.
It is. It's those connections that you make through agritourism, which is really,
Mhm.
I love hearing those stories. So thank you so much for sharing that about that first, that how that is a core memory for you. And
Yeah.
that's how these agricultural experiences, agritourism experiences are for a lot of people. It's, connecting back to their grandparents, their great grandparents who, lived this life, but maybe they don't now, or, connecting back to where maybe their family homesteaded or grew up and they don't live there anymore. Just that connection to the lifestyle and the land that they're just so craving. That's really, what we're seeing with people coming to Wyoming is they're wanting these authentic experiences, and agritourism is such an amazing way to be able to offer those, even if it is through something like horseback riding, which is something that maybe producers or, a lot of us who live here in Wyoming who get to do that, throughout the year don't really think about how big of a connection that can have for us. And so I just love hearing about that, how these agritourism operations are impacting the lives of people, whether that be in their community or the people who are just coming to visit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so then the fifth category we have is entertainment. And these are all of those on-farm activities, whether that's, the festivals, the pumpkin patches, the corn mazes, the concerts, weddings, special events. These are all of the things that people really come to, have a good time and, see those really fun things. I know that my family has always had the tradition of going to the pumpkin patch every
Mm.
year. So we go to the pumpkin patch and we go through the corn maze and we pick out our pumpkins that we're going to carve for that Halloween. And, it's something that we've done for years. And it's this agritourism experience that is, built into our lifestyles now, and is something that we all have these memories that we cherish. So I
Yeah.
think that these entertainment things are so much fun. And it is so interesting to see how people take this entertainment piece with agritourism and are so creative, so many different things, these, different workshops or activities that you can do that you wouldn't necessarily think of doing on agricultural land, but they're able to do it, or, these really great concerts. And
Mhm.
it's so interesting to see how creative people can be within agritourism.
Well, and I know I referenced the Tarleton Purple Tractor at Tarleton State University in our last episode as well, but you just had me thinking about it, Haley. So, speaking of just entertainment options, the Tarleton Purple Tractor, just as a quick reminder, is a direct to consumer or a little store at the Tarleton Agriculture Center at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas. Managed the store as part of my graduate assistantship there. And one of the entertainment activities we did is our horticulture or our greenhouse manager, Grace, had the idea to harvest the pumpkins that we had that didn't sell in store. So we hollowed them out and we sold tickets to a pumpkin bouquet night. So it was a little DIY night. You hollowed out the pumpkins, and then we took all of the flowers from our horticulture special, or I'm sorry, our horticulture department slash greenhouse. And
Uh-huh.
then you got to make a pumpkin bouquet. Take it home with you. And so we had the supplies, and then we were playing music, and it was on Halloween night. And it was just a really neat, you took this piece, you took this piece, and then you just kind of tied it all together. So we not only had direct to consumer sales going, we had all of our students in store helping. We had, flowers from the horticulture department, just all these different key aspects
Yes.
from the store. And then you had all the students who are responsible for running the store. They had to set up the point of sale and kind of decide, okay, what's our price point going to be? How many flowers are we going to need? How many tickets are we going to need to sell at what price point again, to kind of break even or make a profit, just all those different components. And it was just kind of an all around really great project
That's so
for the
amazing.
store. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
But you
amazing.
just kind of had me thinking about that on that entertainment slash agritourism, because it is still agritourism and you're still bringing attention to the store. But
Yeah, yeah, that's so amazing. I mean, all these, like I said, unique, creative ways that we're being
Mm-hmm.
able to connect people with agriculture, and they're able to walk away with these experiences that they probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have otherwise, and that they're going
Right.
to probably remember or continue
Yeah.
to come back. And so it's so it's so encouraging and so exciting. That's why I've loved working within agritourism and with producers, is just seeing the ideas that they have and being able to
Mm-hmm.
support them in that through what we do in extension, and saying, yes, run with that, that's going to be a great idea, or working with them to see how they can make these ideas that they have come to life. Because like I said, there's these 5 main categories, but there are so many different subcategories and all these different things that we could be talking about, that
Yeah.
really show what agritourism is. It's all of these little pieces of a pie, and you don't have to have the whole pie together. You can just take these bits and pieces, whether that is having that entertainment piece, like you were talking about, being able to bring people out there, they're able to do a fun
Mm-hmm.
activity, maybe there's some music going on, that kind of stuff, but then they're also able to buy things as that direct to consumer sales, or
Mm-hmm.
they're able to have this educational opportunity to know more about, hey, these pumpkins or these cows were raised here, we were able to do it all here on the property, this is how we do it, and people walk away with this better understanding.
Fantastic. So, Haley, again, thank you so much for running through all those terms and definitions. I so appreciate that. So, for everybody tuning in, these terms and definitions, they may seem a little bit redundant or may seem obvious, but to just put this in terms, or maybe it's because Rob rubbed off on me talking about economics and marketing. Who knows? We can blame him a little bit. But
Wyoming, as of 2017,
currently has just under 12,000 farms across the entire state, specifically 11,938. So, of these, though, and Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, because you may have updated numbers on this, but of these, just over 1,000 are doing direct sales or agritourism in some sense of the definition. And so, of those 1,066, 543 offer only direct sales. The other 497 offer only agritourism. And so, really, what that means, as a farm or ranch, there's room for your piece of the pie, right? There's room to go up, cut yourself a slice, get into the direct sales, get into the agritourism, hospitality, outdoor rec, etc., that Haley just ran through. In Wyoming, agribusiness and recreational income more than doubled from 2012 and is now ranked 6th nationwide. So not just in Wyoming, but nationwide. So like I said, maybe Rob rubbed off on me, but that just is really why we wanted to run through those definitions for those terms.
Yeah, this wouldn't be an extension podcast without
No.
definitions.
Exactly. We are research based. That's where all of our info comes from. So, after giving you all those statistics, Haley, are there any other trends across the state specifically that we're seeing in the field that maybe folks either already in this agritourism field, or maybe folks wanting to maybe dip their toe into this water should be aware of?
Yeah, yeah. I think that, and thank you for running through all of those statistics. It's so interesting to see this, because seeing that tourism is the second largest industry in the state, followed by agriculture. So it's, these are two of our top 3 industries, and being able to see how they come together for this agritourism to be able to really work cohesively and benefit each other is really amazing. So there are quite a few trends. And I think one of the biggest things for people to be aware of is that people are coming to Wyoming. I know that we felt that a little bit. I know that you guys are feeling that up there in Park County and Cody as summer's getting going and all the
Yeah.
tourists coming in. But people are coming to Wyoming, and they want these experiences. They are looking for these authentic, genuine Western Wyoming experiences. And a lot of those are provided through agritourism experiences where people are really able to, get into this lifestyle, into this part of our culture. And so I think we had like 8.6 million visitors to Wyoming last year. And that's statistics from the Wyoming Office of Tourism. But those numbers of visitors coming to Wyoming have just continued to grow over the years. And I see them, continuing to grow throughout the next few years. And just that they're coming to Wyoming and they're wanting these experiences that producers are able to offer them.
Fantastic. Well, Hailey, I am going to stop you right there because this is where we're going to cut everybody off and continue in 2 weeks from now to July 26th. But speaking of Western culture and Wyoming, we do actually have a special message from Ned Ledoux to plug into the very end of this episode. But Hailey, I actually wanted to thank you so much for taking all of the time to record the entirety of this episode / part 1 and part 2. Thank you so, so much. I truly appreciate it more than you know. So, y'all, Hailey's contact information is going to be at the end of both part 1, part 2, and in the little information box that Spotify has on both of their episodes. And even though this is the end of part 1, because I am making Hailey halt her information, leave you guys on a cliffhanger, this isn't the end of all of the information that she has to give. So listen to this episode, keep you on the edge of your toes, the edge of your chair, what have you, for the second part on July 26th. And like I said, we have a special message from none other than Ned Ledoux. Special shout out to Sarah Olson, who is able to get that sound bit. And Sarah is out of Campbell County. So Sarah, thank you so much as well. And here's the message from Ned Ledoux.
Well, hey, Wyoming, this is Ned Ledoux. I grew up in Wyoming. Our state is amazing, and so are the people. And that includes the great staff at the University of Wyoming Extension offices around the state. From 4-H, health and nutrition, to community leadership and pesticide management, Extension offers great resources for you and your family. Extension offices can be found in every Wyoming county and on the Wind River Indian Reservation. They're committed to bring University of Wyoming's resources home to you.
Pretty cool message there. Thank you again, Sarah, for obtaining that for everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to episode 3, part 1. As a reminder, this is just the first part, so don't forget to tune back in to part 2 that'll be released on July 26th. I'm your host, Michaela Getz, and this is From the Cowboy State, a University of Wyoming Extension podcast featuring all topics, agriculture, and natural resources. As a reminder, Hailey is our Wyoming Outdoor Recreation, Tourism, and Hospitality, or WORTH for short, Initiative Extension Educator. Hailey can be reached at hsorg@uyo.edu. And if you are located there in Casper, don't hesitate to stop on in or give her a call. Her office number is 307-235-9400. We will be putting that in the little info box on Spotify. But again, if you don't have that easily accessible, there's the information for you. If there's a topic that we haven't discussed yet, go ahead and review and then submit comments. And if you don't know how to do that on Spotify, please email me at mgetz@uwyo.edu. Or if you don't have email easily accessible, please don't hesitate to give me a call into the office. My phone number is 307-527-8568. I'm always happy to discuss any questions, comments, concerns you have. University of Wyoming is an equal opportunity and equal education institution, and we are always happy to provide more information if you have any questions, comments, concerns on that as well. Last reminder for you, everything done by University of Wyoming Extension is research-based, so you know where your information is coming from at all times. Thank you all once again for tuning in.